Hi, everybody. Hey, Kathy here from Laying Groundwork, and I am here with our latest edition in the Small Bites series. So, during this session, we're going to be talking about obstacles and barriers. So, you might have something that you're working on, a dream that you're working towards, a vision that you're working on accomplishing, a goal that you're trying to attain. And we're all familiar with the obstacles and barriers that just drop into the path and stop us in our tracks. And I think also that most of us can acknowledge that many, many, many times these obstacles and barriers are coming from within us. And what I mean by that is that they're coming from our own thoughts and our own experiences and the emotions around those thoughts and experiences. The really tricky and insidious thing about this is that they can become so automatic that you may not even really be aware of them. But the idea here is that if we can start to look at the behavior, our behavior and our results that we're producing in the world, we start to get a sense of what those automatic thinking patterns and automatic thought patterns might be. Once that happens, of course, then we start to have the opportunity to begin to challenge them. So, of course, this isn't easy. None of this stuff ever really is, but it is possible. So, if you can kind of imagine, for example, that you start to notice yourself saying something like, "This always happens, this never happens, I'll never be able to," fill in the blank, anything that's around that kind of thinking pattern. So just kind of noticing how often do I kind of fall back on that idea. You might notice that you tend to catastrophize, like making something kind of not that big of a deal into a really big deal. Or you might take things personally, for example. So once you start to establish that awareness of what your individual thinking patterns tend to be, you can start to then separate out the narrative, so the story, the emotions that arise from our way of thinking from the actual situation. So I like to think about Joe Gannon from Dragnet, and his line was always just the facts, ma'am. So this idea that when we can just look at the facts of the situation, what happened, just the facts, and keep our emotions and our thoughts and our responses out of it. No story, no emotion, none of that, just the facts. Once we start to recognize that and are able to create that space, then we can start to ask questions of ourselves like, okay, is this really true? Does this always happen? Does this never happen? Is this really about me? Does it really have anything to do with me? Is it really that big of a deal? We can start to really ask some of those questions and start to diffuse some of these automatic thinking patterns. Again, it's not easy to do, but it is possible. So, hey, I appreciate you tuning in to this session, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you so very much. Take good care.